We continue our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and now the floor is given to Colonel Oleksandr Motuzyanyk, Ministry of Defense of Ukraine spokesperson on ATO-related issues. Welcome. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. During the last 24 hours, despite heavy mortar shellings delivered by Russian occupation forces nearly along all the front line, armed forces of Ukraine didn't sustain any casualties. No serviceman was killed or wounded. At the same time, during the last 24 hours, the militants once again committed an act of terror against peaceful residents of Avdiivka. Now information in more detail. In Lugansk sector, the enemy delivered 16 long-term precision shellings in the direction of positions of our forces. Starting 9 p.m. until midnight, the occupants launched more than 100 mortar mines of 120 and 82 mm of caliber at our defenders of Lugansk. Also, there were sporadic enemy shellings with the use of IFV weaponry, grenade launchers, small arms. In the region of Travnevo, for about 2 hours, the militants shelled our positions with the use of mortars that are prohibited by Minsk agreements, launching 40 mines, and 15 mines of 120 mm of caliber hit the region of Lozove. And also the enemy shelled with the use of mortars of 82 mm against our forces near Krymsky and Zaitsevo, and on the whole there were 12 and 10 shells that hit the regions respectively. And also there were enemy firing provocations in other areas near Popasna, Svetlodarska, Novozvanivka, Troitske, Novoalexandrovka. Our positions in the regions of aforementioned settlements were shelled by the enemy with the use of grenade launchers, machine guns, and infantry weapons. And in the majority of cases, our servicemen returned fire with the use of weapons that are not prohibited by the Minsk agreements. Also, the enemy delivered 6 precision shellings in the Donetsk sector on the whole. And our positions near Kamenka, Opatna, and Berezove came under enemy mortar fire of 82 mm of caliber. Heavy mortars of 120 mm of caliber were used against the defenders of Vodiane. And also there were long-term shellings near Gnutovo, Kamenka, and Bogdanivka. There, Russian occupation forces didn't use heavy weapons yesterday, but they delivered fire with the use of weaponry of IFVs and infantry weapons. In prevailing majority of cases, in order to suppress firing activity of the enemy, Ukrainian forces toughly responded with the use of grenade launchers and service small arms. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the anti-terror operation zone, 22 precision shellings delivered by the enemy were recorded. On the whole, the occupants launched 122 mines of 120 mm of caliber and 60 mines of 82 mm of caliber. Our servicemen 12 times returned fire using service weapons that are not prohibited by the Minsk process. And I would like to remind that despite heavy mortar shellings delivered by the enemy, due to skills of our servicemen and well-equipped positions during the last 24 hours, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed or wounded. And also yesterday at about 2 p.m., the enemy threatened the lives of civilians in Avdiivka. Russian occupation forces blatantly launched 3 rocket shells using Grad-P missile system. And the missiles hit southern western suburbs of this frontline town. Fortunately, no casualties among civilians, but a contact line of a railway line was damaged, and high-voltage electricity supply line was damaged between Yasenovata and the Avdiivka coke and chemical plant. According to information provided by the main intelligence department of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Russian Occupation Command continued to implement measures to discredit ATO forces and to escalate the situation in the temporarily occupied territory of Donbass. Namely, in the Donetsk sector, the command of so-called First Army Corps They organized provocative mortar shellings of their own frontline positions, and they videotape these blasts in order to accuse ATO forces in non-adherence to Minsk agreements. And also the enemy, by these actions, try to create precedents for further escalation of battle actions. And yesterday, on the 11th of December, while shelling ATO forces near Travneva, mortar crews of so-called First Army Corps, due to lack of coordination of shelling, shelled their own positions. And servicemen of one of assault brigades continue to improve their battle skills in the course of comprehensive battle training. In the firing grounds, servicemen carried out firing with the use of Kalashnikov gun, machine guns, mounted grenade launcher GS-17, and also through hand grenades. And in the course of firing, they paid a lot of attention to thriftly use of ammunition and introduction of corrections while aiming. Also, paratroopers exercised shifting of firing positions, and crews of battle vehicles rehearsed the exercises with the use of APC's Better 80, and they all were involved in loading and firing. Because in the course of battle mission, different situations can emerge, and they should be ready to replace each other. And also there were training in tactical medicine. Servicemen rehearsed the actions, how to provide emergency medical assistance, how to stop bleeding, and how to evacuate imaginary wounded. At the same time, in Ivano-Frankivsk military airport, they held command flight exercise. During flight exercise that lasted 17 hours, they improved their flying, piloting skills, navigation, and battle use of the machine, and they rehearsed unified method of piloting. And on the 11th of December in Odessa, the conference was held, Sea Breeze 2018, with the participation of the representatives of the armed forces of other countries. And the task of this conference is to coordinate the actions while training. And this event is headed by the command of the military forces of Ukraine, and delegation of the armed forces of United States is headed by Michael Villegas. And this is first of the three conferences that are usually held in preparatory phase at the National University of Defense, named after Ivan Chernyakhovsky. They started a seminar with participation of American specialists. This seminar will last 5 days, and this will be the demonstration of practical aspects of defense planning and the introduction of this planning at the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. And last year, the ministry carried out several events like this, and they provided knowledge to 230 specialists in the field of strategic planning. And this will help to build the capabilities, and this training includes the group of building defense institutions of the Ministry of Defense of the United States, and also with participation of foreign advisors to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Thank you.